But today we're going to finish up on the fourth step, resentment inventory. So now we have gone from top to bottom on all of these columns, and this is the column in here, 3B, that I say is the column where I'm going to ask God to help me to get the person or place or thing, that resentment, out of the way so that I can see my part in it. And I would like to see where I had been selfish, dishonest with myself or others, self-seeking and frightened, and where was I to blame. So these are where I'm going to write down just quick notes about where was I selfish, self-seeking, frightened, and dishonest. So I'm going to go back to my example of using my mythical friend Susie, who was resentful. I was resentful at my mythical friend Susie because I thought she was stealing my boyfriend, my money, and my alcohol. And so I had written it down and had checked all the things that it had affected. And now I have prayed hard to ask God to help me to see my part in it, because I was so focused on blaming her. And then I begin to feel that shift, and I think, okay, possibly I could have something to do with it. And so where was I selfish, self-seeking, frightened, and dishonest? I was selfish because I was just thinking about me. I wasn't thinking about how I was affecting anybody else. I wasn't thinking about how, I'm going to call it drinking, because I'm using drinking and alcoholism as a model here. And I wasn't thinking about how my alcoholism or my drinking was harming anybody else, my boyfriend who was living with us, or Susie. And all I thought about was me. And they're whispering about me. They're talking about me. And typically, especially for alcoholics, very selfish and self-centered and very sensitive. And if I see you talking and I think you're talking about me, I'm just going to assume that it's not good. And that's how I thought that she was, cheating with my boyfriend. My boyfriend was cheating with her in the first place, is because I heard them whispering. And so where had I been selfish, self-seeking, frightened, and dishonest? Obviously, selfish. I was thinking just about me. Self-seeking. What about me? What about me? What if he's cheating with her? What about me? Where's that going to leave me? And we already talked about that. My ambition, my pocketbook, my security, my self-esteem, my relationships, personal and sexual, everything it affects. What about me is right. And frightened. Oh my God, what if they end up together? What if he leaves me? What if my worst fears come true? And what if people say something about me? And what are people going to think about me? Because my pride is definitely a part of this too. And dishonest, I never said anything about it. I just assumed that they were talking about me and that that's what was going on. And I did the same thing with my alcohol that was missing. And I never said anything about it. I never asked about it. I never asked Susie if she had taken it or drank it or poured it out or whatever. I just assumed. And the same thing with my money. It was disappearing, and I was assuming that she was taking it because my boyfriend wouldn't do that to me, or would he? Now I have to put him on my list too for resentments, and he'll show up later on for a whole other set of resentments. And so where was I selfish, self-seeking, frightened, and dishonest? Yeah, a lot of the time dishonesty shows up, and it's the sin of omission. When you did this to me, I didn't tell you that it hurt me, or that it scared me, or that it made me angry. And I wasn't ever honest. And people would say, oh, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Nothing hurts me. Nothing bothers me. I'm fine. You can't hurt me. And the truth is that lots of things bothered me. Lots of things hurt me. Lots of things I felt angry about, but I never said anything. So I held them inside, and then they turned into resentments. And resentments are, as they say in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I think it's probably true in general. I don't think this is just about alcoholism and alcoholics. It's just that that's a really clear model to use to show you the examples of how this resentment inventory works. But they say that resentments are the #1 offenders. It kills more alcoholics than anything else because we hold on to these things, we don't talk about them, and they fester. And they say that resentments are like a toxic substance, and it eats away the container that holds it. And that would be me. So it behooves me to do this work and to be really clear about it. So where's my part? Yeah, I was selfish, self-seeking, frightened, and dishonest. And how about the vet? Go back to that example about the vet. And where was I selfish, self-seeking, frightened, and dishonest? I was selfish because I didn't want to spend the money on the dog because I needed it for myself. And I was self-seeking because what about me? What if I don't get what I need? And I talked myself into believing that the dog was going to be okay, despite the fact that the vet had told me very clearly. But I didn't want to hear that because that didn't fit into my idea of how this was going to go. And I could tell myself that dog's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And frightened, I was frightened, even if I couldn't admit it. I heard that information that the vet told me, and I was frightened that the dog was not going to be okay. But my selfishness and self-centeredness overcame that desire to help the dog, and I kept thinking, what about me? So I did what I thought I had to do, and I talked it in my head. I talked the story up to be, it's what I had to do. And so the same thing with when it was going to be, time for an operation. And it was the same thing. I didn't want to spend the money. And then when the dog died, I told my story to myself that the vet, it was his fault. Somehow I could weave that into a story so that I came out, I thought, smelling like roses, and that nobody was going to blame me for it. And poor me, I'm a victim. And the fact is that I had a big part in that. But I had been so focused on the vet and telling that story for so long that I could have conveniently forgotten my part in it because it happened so many years ago. And I have spun that tale so many times and just pushed it to the back, never really let the truth come forward. And so don't be afraid to let the truth come forward here, you guys. This is what we're going for. This is why I called it Dive Deeper. I kept saying I was going to write a book. I'm not going to write a book. And I was going to call it Dive Deep, because you don't want to just scratch the surface here. If we're going to do this work, let's go in all the way and get this stuff out, because we have ways of dealing with it in the next following steps of how to bring it up, bring it out, and deal with it. So it doesn't keep coming back to bite you in the ass, and it doesn't keep waking you up at 3 o'clock in the morning like, oh my God, what I did. Oh, I don't want anybody to ever know that story. And it's true. You're as sick as your secrets. So this is a great place to do it. So I'm just going to call this the last column of the 4th step, and we're going to go into the next inventory. Don't forget that the PDF link for this inventory paper and the prompt sheet, in case you have any problem coming up with the resentments. I can't tell you how many times people will say, like, I don't have any resentments. I don't think I have any resentments. And I said, okay, just sit down and pray for the willingness to be willing to just even think about being willing to do this work. And you'll see how these things start to come. And as they start to come, and as I become more and more willing to do this work, the names will come to you. This information will flow. It's really it's the mildest way to do this work is top to bottom. Don't go across. We get stuck and then we don't do the work. A lot of people don't ever get to this step. If you followed me this far, you're doing great, because many people need this work. Many people want this work, and very few people are willing to do this work. So if you've gotten this far, then congratulations. You're doing a great job. And I really look forward to working with you through the rest of these 12 steps. Adapted from Alcoholics Anonymous, but not affiliated with any group. These are just steps in general to help you with anything that you could possibly have going on with your life. So thank you for allowing me to walk on this journey with you, and I'll see you next time for the next inventory, which will be the fear inventory.